What's up, friends, and welcome to this podcast. I am super excited to host another episode. Today's guest is Austin. He's from Australia, and he actually started as a videographer, turned that business into an agency, and then started building e-commerce stores. And now he has his own online learning platform, teaching people how to have success in e-commerce. Super inspiring story. We met earlier this year in Cape Town. It was a super insightful talk, and we spoke about business, about the right outreach to clients, the importance of community, and how to actually network with inspiring people and get into this community. So super stoked to have Austin here and can't wait for you guys to get some insights. Do you quickly want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Austin Lovell. I build businesses. The main one that I'm building at the moment is an education business, teaching people how to start their own e-commerce brand. Been running e-com stores for the past few years, worked as an agency, initially a videographer, and now teaching people how to have an online income.
Initially videographer. I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not.
I picked up a camera when I was 16. I had a sports trip to Spain for a football trip. And before the trip, I was watching Casey Neistat. I was watching these YouTube vloggers and thought, this is awesome. So I said to Mum, please can I get a camera? I've got some pocket money, can you help me out a little bit? Yeah. So we ordered it. It got there a few days before the trip, and then I did my first vlogs. Now these vlogs, there was not much talking. I was this 16-year-old, I wasn't comfortable in front of camera. And so they didn't turn out probably how I wanted them to, but it was my first taste of making videos. And then started editing in high school, got paid for a few gigs here and there. I was like, this is kind of cool. I get paid for just using the camera. I think this is fun. And then that turned into a video business and then a video agency. And then now I still use the skill set, making weekly vlogs for YouTube. So yeah, the study as a videographer, I think it's helped me a lot.
Honestly, I feel like for everyone, it's like the first step to focus on something you're passionate about, figuring out that it's actually possible to make money from it, and then just like scaling and just going into different directions from that, I guess.
Exactly.
And yeah, what was your first camera?
The first camera was one from Costco. I think it was a Samsung digital camera, not a DSLR. It was just very basic. So I used to film unboxing videos for shoes on YouTube. That's how I got all my subscribers initially. That's how I got the views. I'd buy shoes from these dodgy Chinese websites because no one else would willingly put their credit card info in. But I got Mum's credit card. So I'm just going on there and buying these shoes, and they would get shipped to me. And then I'd do an unboxing because people wanted to see, am I going to get scammed if I buy from this website? So I was the guy that said, you know what, I'll take one for the team. I'll see if this is a scam or not. And so I'd film with that Samsung camera, doing a top-down POV shot as I unboxed them. Like, people were really interested to know because it was all the popular shoes, but instead of spending $300, you spend 40, and they kind of looked the same. So I think people liked that. They didn't want to buy the full thing. They just wanted the, I guess, image of having the real thing.
And was that also like the first step of how you got interested in like e-commerce, dropshipping?
I didn't think about it back then, but that was probably one of my earliest, I guess, connections with e-com. I saw dropshipping when I was, I think, 15, 16 on Instagram. I think a lot of people see it pop up, people saying they're making money with e-com and dropshipping. And for me, I was focusing on the video side. Then I wanted to build an agency. So I thought, e-com, it looks cool. I tried it a few times during high school, trying to build some stores. The first store I ever built was a women's jewelry brand, an apparel brand. And I got so excited. I thought, I'm going to figure this out. I've watched some YouTube videos. I'm going to make millions with this. Didn't turn out that way. We got a few sales. I think we got 6 or 7 sales. Okay. And that showed me that a random kid from Adelaide in South Australia, having never built an online store before, could get sales. And it was a shocking looking website. Like, this wasn't anything special. The products were run of the mill. You could get them anywhere. So it showed me that you can do it. I think that was the start for me. And then it was just testing new stores, new products. While I was working as a videographer, while I was running my agency, I still had this fascination for e-com. I wanted to see if I could get it to work because I knew enough people had done it. So I knew if I just stuck with it, eventually one of them would work. And eventually it did. So it all started with the jewelry brand.
And you were working on 3 different projects at the same time: the videography, the agency, and the e-commerce?
Yeah. It's probably not the best looking back on it now. Now I try and stay focused on one thing, but at the time I was doing video work throughout high school. And so that was my way of making some income on the side. But I knew for me, I wanted to build an agency. And that started being creating videos for local businesses, and then it became videos for e-com businesses. So that was my introduction into the whole world of e-commerce ads and video ads. And so I was running those two side by side, doing some local projects and filming some weddings as well. Like I'd contract for a wedding videography business in Adelaide. And then all the other time, I was trying to get clients to make video ads for their e-com brands. So I was running those two. And then I thought, you know what, this isn't complicated enough. So let's try and build an e-com store alongside all of this. And so in the background, I was always just testing. There was always an e-com project I was working on trying to get a store to work, always drop shipping, always on Shopify. And so, yeah, there was a time where I had 3 projects at the same time. I don't want to do that anymore. I think I've got 2 now. Maybe call YouTube a third. It's starting to become more time consuming.
It's interesting to focus on different things, I guess, because I feel like sometimes when I just focus on one thing, I get so bored. Do you have the same feeling, or is it just like better to like sometimes force yourself even to like stay in this one line and just like do the stuff that needs to be done for this one company, not 3?
Agreed. I think it depends on what the goal is. So for me, initially, it was I want financial freedom. And so then when I started looking at why am I building these businesses or trying to build them, it was I wanted to have $5,000 a month so I could pay for my expenses and not have to think about money. And then that evolved to, I want to make $10,000 a month because I want to travel more and I want to see the world. And so I looked at business as a way to achieve those personal targets. And so then I thought, well, could I get one of these businesses, hypothetically, to 10K a month in profit? And the answer for all of them individually was yes. I could have been a videographer full-time, making more content, make 10K. Could have run the agency and focused on that, make 10K, and e-commerce was the same. And so it came down to a boiling point where I thought, I'm trying to chase the same rabbit with 3 different things. Why don't I just pick one, go all in on that? And so that's helped me. I try and focus on one thing now. In saying that, I have the education business, but I also run my own e-commerce stores. So I'm essentially doing 2 things right now. But I think regardless of if you choose one business model or you have a few, I think it's better to stick with one, stay focused on that, become really, really good at that, or even just put in the time. I sucked at ads for the first few years, but over time I got a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. But I think it's important to have outlets outside of just work. You know, if you're just sitting there, one project, focused all day, every day, 7 days a week, your brain can get all mushy.
You forget the purpose of life somehow. Like I've been there and I was like, what am I even doing this for? It's just like you're staring at a screen all day long. But how did you get your, like the knowledge about like, for example, any kind of topic you just mentioned, like filmmaking, e-commerce, all the kind of things? Like, did you use YouTube for inspiration? Did you do courses, or how did you get all this knowledge from?
YouTube initially. YouTube has always been my number 1 platform. Other people, they scroll through Instagram all day, they go on TikTok and they doom scroll. For me, it was YouTube. And I would just watch video after video, random things, filmmakers making cool travel content, and then more educational ones on building a business. And so my intro to YouTube was Casey Neistat and was Peter McKinnon and those kind of creators. And they got me really excited to pick up a camera and start shooting. So I think I got all the fundamentals from watching their content, but then also tutorials from probably loads of people that I just can't remember who it was, but they had the top 5 tips to make your videos look better, and you watch all those and you pick up little things. And then it was just repetitions. Like I would make a video, realize, actually, that doesn't look quite right. What have I done? Watch a YouTube tutorial and realize my settings were wrong. And it was just constantly making videos. So initially, it was YouTube for the skill set, and then it became courses when I started working and having some money to spend on courses. Instead of going to my mum and saying, "Mum, can I get this?" She's like, "No, go do your chores." So then it became courses, and I could spend some money on those. And I found that that was the next unlock. Maybe not because of the level of information, but it was also the commitment. It's like, I've just spent $500 on this course. I need to commit to it, because with YouTube videos, I find that a lot of people in the space share such incredible information, but people don't apply it because it's free and there's no skin in the game. They just think, oh, it's a YouTube video, it can't be that good. But there are some people out there spitting some absolute game for free on YouTube. So that was my starting point.
It's actually crazy how much information is out there, and many people don't even realize it. Like, you have literally the opportunity to like find out everything you want about any kind of topic right now. And most people don't even recognize that, which is really sad. Which courses did you take about like filmmaking? I'm curious.
The most noteworthy one for me was Full-Time Filmmaker by Parker Welbeck. So that taught me the fundamentals of, okay, I like making videos, but how do I turn this into a bit more of a business? and do it that way. And then the earliest course that shaped most of my life up until this point was a program called Six Figure Social Media Marketing Agency by a guy named Iman Gadzi. And so I saw his ad when I was 18, after school, laying on my bed, scrolling Instagram in my final year of high school. And I saw this guy who was also my age in the UK making crazy money, working his own business. And so that's when it all started. And there were parts of that where he was a videographer previously, so I related to that sort of origin story, and then he was running an agency. So that was my fascination for agency. But the first filmmaking course I think that I bought was Full-Time Filmmaker.
That's a good one. I mean, I haven't gotten it myself yet, but I heard a lot of good things, and that's amazing. But what made you switch from filmmaking to just focusing on e-commerce fully? Is there like a specific reason why you just wanted to get away from like the creative side of things, or just work on your personal side of things and not like exchange your money versus time? I guess you know the concept. It's still like if you do client shoots all the time, you're still pretty much like working for somebody else, even if you're a freelancer. So was that maybe the reason why you switched to e-commerce, to building your own teaching business, or what was the inspiration behind it?
Started as a freelancer because I knew I had a skill and I could make the money with it. And then once I started doing more of that, I thought, this is great, but there's people out here that aren't working all day and they're making a lot more than me. So they have something else. They have leverage. And so building an agency was my attempt at that, was, okay, I'm going to recruit other people to do the thing I was previously doing, and I'll just get the clients. And so then I started focusing on that, and I became addicted to that business model. I grew a creative agency for 2.5, 3 years. We ended up making like 2,000 video ads for 100 different e-com brands. And over that time, I love the model of if I sign a client, it doesn't actually affect my workload. So I could sign 2 clients today, and then I don't have to put time away in the calendar for a shoot. I don't have to put some time aside for editing. I've got the team there, they're gonna deliver. And so that was my first step in that direction. And then the reason to go from agency to e-com was because, honestly, I just got a bit fed up with client services. It's like, I don't want to deal with people for a while.
Okay.
All the Zoom calls, all of the questions, the Slack messages, the constant outreach to get new clients. And I thought, look, I've learned so much from this, but the next step for me is doing something that's, in my eyes, higher leverage, and that was building e-com stores. So it went through the different phases, and now I am where I am now, which it's funny, it's sort of client services because I'm teaching people and I'm coaching them and giving them support, but it feels like the next evolution of the thing.
Because it comes back to you. It's what your learnings are about. And like agency is mostly what the client wants still. How did you get the network of clients and also of the filmmakers? Because I'm currently building an agency, so that's really interesting for me to know as well. How did you reach out to clients, acquire clients? And on the other hand, how did you build the creative network? Did you have like a full-on circle? Did you put it online somewhere that you're looking for video editors, or how did you do it?
First part with the client acquisition side was deciding who's my niche, who are my target customers, who are the businesses that I can help make video content for. And for me at the start, there was nothing. I was just choosing everyone. Someone came to me and said, I want you to make a video for me. I was like, how much are you gonna pay? They're like, this much? I'm like, yes. So I had no clear target customer. But when I started building the agency, very early on, I had a few key mentors, and they said, you have to pick a niche, because the riches are in the niches. You have to pick one and stick with it. And so when I heard that, I said, okay, I'm gonna pick e-commerce brands that are running ads on Facebook and Instagram. That is still a very broad niche, but I thought I'm gonna start there, and if I can narrow it down later. So that was step one. And then, okay, where do I go and find these people that are running these e-commerce brands? And the great thing with e-commerce brand owners is that they tend to be a bit more public than local business owners. You run a restaurant, maybe people don't know you're the owner of that restaurant. But with e-com brands, you're the CEO, you're the founder, you're the head of growth. Like, you will openly state for the bigger e-com brands that you're involved. And so I started going on LinkedIn and grabbing people's email addresses and scraping all that information that was publicly available. And then I got a freelancer to help me do that at greater scale. And what I would do is I'd sit down and record Loom videos for each of them. 2 to 3 minute screen recording plus face share videos of me at my computer, this 18-year-old where his voice really hadn't broken yet. And he was trying to pitch these clients on, let's hop on a Zoom meeting and let's see if I can help you. And so I can go back to my Loom account, scroll back 5 years and see the first one I ever did. And oh my goodness, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. But that's how I did it, cold email at the start. And then that changed to just sending higher volumes of emails out, booking in Zoom calls, closing those deals. So that was my flow. It was always for me direct outreach. Paid ads and all that, it's expensive. And when I was starting out, I just didn't have the money to put into ads. And I didn't understand the elaborate funnels. So I thought, if I just pick a niche, I present them with a good offer, and then I just reach out to them directly, then I'll probably have the highest chance of it working. And for me, it played out. I think I signed 85% of my clients from cold email directly.
I recently listened to a podcast that like cold emails is now kind of out, and you have to focus on like social media content, and then combined, for example, with like texting people who started following you because they're already interested. So maybe that might be a new modern marketing technique. Don't even ask me. How was the process of everything? Like, how did you scale? Did you like get a lot of rejections in the beginning? And how were you able to like still stay motivated? I think that's like oftentimes like when you deal with rejection, oftentimes you're like, that's not going to work out. How did you stay motivated and focused?
I think it was the realization that I knew it would work eventually. And so if I was getting no after no, I'd have to get better to start getting those yeses. And I liked how much in control I was the whole time. I think when you build a business, you have such a level of control in the outcome, in the fact that if you put in the outreach and you do the reps, you're going to get the result eventually. If you improve, you optimize, and people start saying yes, and then you build up confidence, and then you keep going. But for me, at the start, I got a lot of no's, a tremendous amount of no's. And I think anybody that's trying to start something when you're relatively young, 18, 19, you have that kind of rejection, and you don't know if it's because of your age. For me, I didn't feel like it was that, because no one specifically said, look, I'm not going to work with you because you're very young. The main reason they said is, look, it's just not a fit for us, so we don't need this. And so it taught me very early on that the no's are okay, because it's really a numbers game if you look at it overall. There's plenty of brands out there that you could make content for. There's plenty of businesses that you can help out and that will pay you for your services. So it's only a matter of time before you connect with those. Now, if you reach out every day for a year and do hundreds and thousands of outreach messages and everybody says no, well, maybe the offer that you're presenting them isn't that good. Okay. And so for me, it was a lot of learning about how do I position an offer? How do I just reach out to them and not say, hey, I make videos for e-com brands. How do I position it in a way where it sounds, okay, I need this? And so for me, it was, I'll make high converting video ads for your Facebook campaigns. And if they don't work, I'll give you your money back. And so I was trying to build this, it's called like a Godfather offer, an offer so good that they can't refuse. There's a great book by Alex Hormozi on $100 million offers. And so I read that book when I was already running the agency and I was getting clients. And for context, I got an agency to a point where we had 12 part-time team members, freelancers, all virtual. We had 30 active clients a month. We had made 2,000 video ads. And I think the peak I ever got it to was 38K, was the most I did in 1 month with the agency. And so just for a bit of context I didn't get it to hundreds of thousands, so I can't comment on what it's like at that level, but from 0 to 30K a month, then I know that game. When I came to it initially, I was just reaching out, exactly as I said before. I make video ads for e-com brands. And I started getting these no's, and I'd say, why? And they said, we don't need this. We already have videos. And then I read this book, $100 million offers. And Alex Hormozi talks about positioning your thing as a grand slam offer. This is the thing that, again, they'd feel stupid saying no to because it's just so good for them. And when I read that, something clicked and it just switched in my mind. And I realized that, okay, I need to think about how I'm positioning this from their perspective. So then I swapped what I wrote in my emails, started reaching out to people, and then the deals started coming in. It's like, there we go. That's the change that I needed, was that ultimately, no one cares about what you do. That's the harsh reality. No one does care. They care about what's in it for them. And that's okay, because you're always looking like that. We're human, that's natural. And so when it comes to positioning an offer, if you just say, I make videos, they're like, well, there's nothing in it for me. But even if you just added a bit at the end that said, I make videos that will help you get more sales. I make videos that will increase your Instagram following. You've added something, and now it's the benefit of them. And so they're much more likely to respond. So I just turned that up, put that on steroids, and I was like, I'm going to give them this irresistible offer. And that started working for me.
It's kind of like a subconscious technique also. Just like by the words you use. You might sell the same thing, but it's just like formulating, like about formulation. Is that an English word? I'm going to cut this out.
Formulation? Yeah, I think so. You can't cut that out. That's in the podcast. Don't let her take this out, okay?
Okay, let's stay it in. I guess, yeah, in the end, it's just like about creating a win-win situation for everyone. Like, I recently just like reached out to a brand about like collaboration for an event. And I was like, it's just so random. It's just like a random idea that came up to my mind. And in the end, we figure out like a point for every single person to have a benefit. Like, for example, the people who come, they get a great network for the brand that is sponsoring it. They get the perfect audience they want to reach. And for me, it's also great to get like a sponsoring for my event, you know? So I guess that's like applying to every single business strategy, outreach, whenever you're pitching something. That's super valuable. And I mean, content nowadays is like one of the most important things. So it's just about like how to sell it. How do you see content yourself, like as an entrepreneur, like the importance of personal branding?
I'm only leaning into it now for the first time properly. And there were times when I was building the agency or freelancing and I was trying to build a brand. I was trying to post good content, make cool YouTube videos, try and be educational, but also aspirational and show people the behind the scenes. And my realization when I was 19 was that I just need more experience. I need to put my head down for a few years, just do the thing without telling anyone about it. And then I can come out on the other end and maybe I've learned some lessons that are worth sharing with other people. And that's exactly what I did. I just put my head down, put the camera to the side, said, look, personal branding, I've got time. I can come back to it later. And so I think for a lot of people starting, if you're a creative, it makes sense to lean into personal brand because that is your showcase of your work and how good you're going to be for a potential client. If you're running anything that is service-based behind the scenes, in my opinion, personal branding doesn't matter as much. As long as you have a compelling offer and you're constantly reaching out to people, regardless of what that is, DM, cold call, you walk into their business in person, which I've done before, or you're just reaching out wherever possible. If you consistently do that and you have a great offer, I think that's more important than the content. But now I'm leaning back into content because I just really enjoy it. I like making videos. I realized that I missed that part of what I used to do years ago, which was just picking up the camera, shooting a YouTube video, getting the lighting, the audio right, and then putting out something to the public that I was proud about. Even if no one watched it, I was like, I put effort into this. I really like how it turned out. And so now I picked up the camera 7 weeks ago and started filming vlogs again. So I've been doing weekly vlogs, just documenting the journey and what's going on. And I thought now would be a good time to start that because life is very different from what it was a few years ago. And even if no one watches it, I think it would be cool if in a few years or 5 or 10 years, whenever I have kids, for them to watch back the videos of when I was younger and see what dad was doing. So I like the idea that people can learn as I learn and I can help someone that's maybe a few years behind where I am right now and give them the things I wish I heard at that stage. That's why I make the videos now.
That's amazing. And I think it's such an inspiration for so many people out there, like who might be stuck in a certain place mentally or physically, wherever, just like to get inspired online. And yeah, I mean, as a memory for yourself as well. But do you have any like specific goals with content creation, or is it just like literally only for the fun aspect?
Look, long term, there's monetization in an indirect way. There'll be more opportunities that likely come to me because of building a personal brand or spending the time on building an audience. And so I'm fully conscious of that. And I know that if I keep sticking with it, then that stuff will naturally happen. And already, since starting to post vlogs, for context, they get barely any views, but people watching them, it's now led to other opportunities, podcasts and cool connections that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And just those kind of things. And I think that's a really cool benefit. Even hiring for the team. There's been people that have watched my videos and said, I really like what you're doing. I think I can get behind you. Are there any positions open at your company? And so we've actually hired, I think, 2 people who have reached out to me because they watched a YouTube video. And so even at a small scale, I'm seeing the power that it has. And in my videos, I make an active effort to not pitch anything. I just show what I'm working on. I don't put the link to my businesses in the description. I don't say, go and check this out. I say, this is what I'm doing. I just want to share what I'm learning. These videos I make because I want to make them, not because I need your money or you to buy because of these. So in the past, I've made YouTube videos as an acquisition source, and I think I lost the key part of it. And I think creatives go through that a lot. You lose the passion and the desire to make the content because you're constantly trying to monetize it. And so you lose the art, you lose the fun. And so for me, I just see this as the the fun parts, my outlets, my opportunity to make cool content, I hope.
Yeah, and it comes with a lot of opportunities as well. So that's incredible. But I sometimes feel like personal branding, or like whatever you present yourself on Instagram, it's like a digital key card somehow. Like whenever I meet someone, the first thing I check is their Instagram. It's crazy what
Did you
kind
check
of
my Instagram?
I don't know.
I
When did
checked
we
yours.
meet?
Yeah, we met in Cape Town.
On a boat.
Yeah.
Was that the first time we met?
We gave each other's Instagrams. And I was
True.
looking at your videos and I was like, this is sick. We watched the one in Tokyo.
Oh, true. Yeah, at OnePlus. It was in Tokyo. And now we're here in Bali.
Now we're here in Bali. The world is small.
What's better, Cape Town or Bali?
Cape Town.
Okay, why? And why are you in Bali now? Not in
Yeah,
Cape Town?
exactly. Because Bali's really good for a lot of the year. Cape Town, I'm sure, is as well, but especially during the summer in Cape Town, which is when we met and is when I've spent time there in the past. It's just so beautiful. And the people that are there as well. I think a big difference to your experience with a place is the people that are there with you. And so if I'm solo traveling, very different experience. And I've had big periods of, the past few years where I've been solo for like a week, a month and a half, 2 months. And that experience is very different from traveling with other people. So I think in Cape Town, the times that I've been there, been surrounded by such cool people. And so it's just made the experience a lot more memorable for me. So if I had to really choose between Bali and Cape Town, right now I'd probably go Cape Town. Also, maybe because I want to go back and I've spent a lot of time in Bali, so maybe I just want something new.
Are you going back in the winter, summer-ish, like January?
Undecided. The travel plans are just so up in the air. And I think part of the fun part about building a business is that you have a lot of freedom. And sometimes it can be a bit of a curse because you want a consistent routine, you want to lock in and do your work, but you have these opportunities to just travel around and go to places. And I'm extremely grateful that God has blessed me with that kind of freedom because I know not everyone has that, and I want to give that to more people because it's the biggest blessing I've had in my life. And so the 2025 travel plans, there's nothing set in stone, which feels weird because normally I like to know where I'm going to be at what time and really establish that routine. But for the first time in a long time, I don't know.
That's exciting, no?
Yeah, it is. I've written down a list for 2025, all the cool places that I like one day I'll go. So I think 2025 is going to be that year where I just go and see all those things.
Sticking to a routine, I find myself like it's really important. I've been doing that, like just like bouncing around all around the world, like every 2 weeks a new place. And for me, it was impossible to have a routine. My brain is just like always on the go. How do you find yourself building a routine whenever you're moving to another place?
The key tips that I do is, first of all, go to a place and stay for at least a month. I don't like to move around too much because then you can't build a routine. And if you're living out of your suitcase, I did it for a while where it was completely like my suitcase was on the floor of my room and I would just grab stuff out of it. It's not healthy, I found. So the first thing I do now is I go to a place for at least a month. I try to whenever I can, maybe even more. The second tip is I get everything out of my suitcase as soon as I get there and I put it in the cupboards. All my clothes hung up, all my toiletries out, and then I hide the suitcases so I don't see them. I don't want to see glance at them in the corner of the room. I want it to feel like I'm living in this place. And that's, again, goes hand in hand with staying there longer. Wouldn't make sense if you're there for 3 days to unpack everything because you're just going to leave. So those are some of the things I do. And then the third major one is the place where I work, I want it to be different from where I sleep. And so wherever possible, I try and have my workstation outside of my bedroom and in a spot that is just different so I can build the routine of work there. And then the last one is also just thinking about what I need. For me at the moment, I like having access to a gym. I'm doing triathlon training, so I want to have access to a swimming pool and a place where I can run and ride a bike. And so building a routine involves me finding all those things before I get there. So then I know once I do, I can just sort of snap back into the way I was doing things before. Like in Bali, I've got my places. I know I can do this here, I can do that here. I've got my workstation. I've got, friends, if I want to go out and play paddle, then we can do that. And so, yeah, I've got all those things, which is good. And there's a few places in the world where it feels like that for me. But if I'm going to a completely new place, just like you said, I feel completely out of whack if I just get there and it's just like back-to-back travel, jump quick, airport, suitcase, transfer, unpack, dinner, like it's just messy. So I think slow travel is the term for it, where you pick a place, you stay there for longer. I find that that's my kind of travel.
I think that's the honestly the best way to explore places, because you actually see how, like, in an authentic kind of way, how that place actually feels like. Like in Bali, for example, when I was here for the first time, I was just like bouncing around all the time. I went from, I don't know, like Canggu, where we're currently at, to the north, to Uluwatu, like all across. And I mean, you know these phases, like when you're traveling and you can plan it ahead, that this is maybe not the most productive work sessions where you shouldn't book calls and like do important meetings. And it's also really exciting. I feel like during these times you learn definitely a lot of new things, because you discover so many different places, new people, new opinions, whatever. But yeah, I mean, long term, definitely routine and like a place to stay for longer is it. Do you have like a fixed apartment right now?
I do, in Dubai. So Dubai is home for me. Adelaide in Australia is technically home because that's where I grew up and that's where my family is. But my home now, where all of my stuff is, I've got my bed, that's my bed, I've got my desk, that's my desk, all that kind of stuff, that's in Dubai.
Why Dubai?
Dubai initially because I left Australia in the middle of 2022 and I came to Bali. And I moved here, technically. I sold everything, finished the lease on my apartment, and I said, cool, here's 2 suitcases with everything I own, let's go. And so I moved to Bali. And then when I was in Bali, I think I opened my eyes to the fact that you can travel and you can be anywhere and you can work online if you do it the right way. And for me then, I was looking at, okay, well, I'm not planning to spend time in Australia. So it just felt a bit funny if I was going to, say, keep paying Aussie taxes. And so then I started looking at what other places could I set up my business so it's more international and allows me to travel and gives me the freedom. And there was a lot of different options, but the one that stood out to me was Dubai, because when I was younger, I would look at photos of the Burj Khalifa and just this Dubai looking like this oasis in the desert, this incredible place full of luxury and wealth. And it just looks so futuristic to me. I think that's what drew me to it. So I ended up doing the residency and the transition, the company set up without ever having been there. I just said, look, I got to do it. Let's make it happen. And then in November of 2022, just 4 or 5 months after I moved out of Australia to Bali, I was on my way to Dubai. And then that started the whole traveling the world thing for me.
Dubai is definitely a beautiful place. Very inspiring. Very well for like focusing on things, I guess. It's not too many distractions, I would say. At least like not like Bali, where you just like, you want to go for paddles in like an hour. That's always me. Yeah? No, but like I fully agree. And it's like every single place offers something special, I would say. Dubai is great for routine. You have your gym in your house. You can just order food and like lock yourself in for 3 weeks without ever leaving. Bali's great for the lifestyle, for just like getting your mind free as well, I guess. But in the end, it's about like a balance of all the different destinations. When you look at your past self from the position you're in right now, which advice would you give yourself like 3-4 years ago? In which situation were you back then? What were your doubts maybe back then? And how do you think about it now?
The biggest thing I'd go back and tell my older self was just keep at it. I think most of the time, all we need is someone to come into our life, hold the door open for us and just say, you can do it. Give you a little push and say, you got this. They don't need to give you anything crazy in terms of life advice or strategy or this or that. And I think when I chat with people that are ultra successful and I hear their stories, a lot of it comes back to they just had maybe 1 or 2 cheerleaders in their life, the people that said, you can go and do it. They hadn't done the thing before, but they just had such belief in them. And that really kept them going. And so I was fortunate when I was growing up, my mum and dad supported me, and they still do. They were open to anything I wanted to do. When I told them I don't want to go to university, after preparing my whole high school life to be an engineer, they're like, okay. Why? They were like, why is that? I explained to them that I wanted to build an online business and, really test out this videography thing as well. They're like, okay, you got this, you got this. And they had trust in me. And so if I could go back and speak to myself a few years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I think it would just be saying, you got this. Don't stop. You're going to have those doubts and that's okay. But just know that you're going to get through them and it's all going to work out eventually.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And community is probably one of the most important things. The people you surround yourself influences your entire mindset. Like, I mean, you probably know the quote, like, you're the average of like the 5 people you spend most of your time at. And I guess, I met all you guys from the Freedom Club, from the Freedom Team. I think you have a similar mindset, similar goals. What keeps you strong as a team? I know you and Josh did like a little challenge about like eating healthy. I didn't even know the exact story about it, but like, what's so special about all of your connection? How did you guys get to know each other, and how do you motivate and inspire each other?
Freedom Club started early in 2023, and it happened 1 month after I met Will and Josh, who are now my two co-founders and best mates. So we started a business having barely known each other for more than 30 days. We decided we're going to commit to building this thing together and traveling the world when I didn't even know you 2 months ago. And the reason that I felt so confident in doing that, and they felt confident in me in doing that as well, was because we shared the same values. And I think that's one of the best things about traveling, is that you get to meet other people that don't have the same, I guess we'll call it small town mindset. You know, been in the same place your whole life, you haven't experienced anything else, so you have a certain mindset, and that's okay. But traveling, it allows you to meet all those other people that have different mindsets. And I found that by traveling, by putting myself out there a little bit more, by instead of just sitting behind my computer all day, maybe I saw someone cool on Instagram. Hey man, I'm like, how's it going? Would love to catch up. Like, I think we do similar things. And starting to make an active effort to meet more people just completely opened things up. And then I started finding people that shared the same values. And so then when it was time to build a business together, or the opportunity to do that came up, or to travel together, or to do other things together, I was like, yes, because I found my group, I found my people finally. And for years I was solo. For years it was just me thinking I need to sacrifice all the personal relationships in my life just so I can be successful with business. And then when I looked up after 3 years, put my eyes away from the computer and I just looked at life, I thought, wow, this probably would have been a lot better if I did it with other people. So traveling has allowed me to meet more people that I connect with values-wise. And I find that just by getting out of your hometown, just if you can, wherever possible, just going somewhere different, you're going to meet so many cool people. And the mindset of those people is very, very different as well.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. Traveling changes your entire view on life, on reality, on possibilities nowadays. And when did you start traveling?
2022. So I had a few trips for sport when I was growing up, but the first time I left Australia of my own accord to go somewhere else was July of 2022.
That's just been 2 years.
Yeah, it has been, yeah.
Wow, what was your first destination then?
Bali.
Oh my God, of course. The closest.
Left Australia, came to Bali, and I was in a relationship at the time, and we were deciding whether to either live in Queensland, so for anyone from Australia, it's the tropical part, and so we're like, we can move there, that seems nice. Or why don't we move to Bali? And similar climate, one's just international. And so we thought, let's do the international one. That seems more challenging, that seems more unique, we'll probably grow a lot because of it. And so that's what we decided to do. Then caught the travel bug and then everything changed.
Just kept going.
Then the passport started getting so many stamps.
Where have you been? Like, countries?
Last year, a lot has been in Europe, bouncing around. Italy, Spain, France, the UK, Portugal, the UAE, a bunch of places in that area of the world. And then like Southeast Asia and Australia. To be honest, there's not much in Australia that I've seen, which is funny to think about. I was born in Australia, raised in Australia, but I was on a flight back from overseas and they showed like a tourism video for Australia and they said, here's all the beautiful places that you're going to discover, get excited, you're about to land and experience all this. And I swear to you, I was watching that video and I was like, I have not seen any of these places. Since when was that in Australia? So I think I've realized by all this travel, I probably need to explore where I'm from a little bit more. Australia is a big place and it's a lot of stuff there, but not many people. So I sort of stayed in my little pocket of Adelaide in South Australia. But yeah, I've been fortunate to travel around a lot over the past year and a half, especially. Building Freedom Club with Will and Josh, we just lived and worked in different places. Like we met in Dubai, all being Aussies through a mutual friend, what are the chances of that? All wanting to all actively building online businesses, but wanting to do something education-wise. What are the chances of that? And then the first place we went to was Cape Town. Then we went to Turkey together, lived in Barcelona together, went to Lebanon, we just bounced around. And so yeah, the travel's been fun, but there's a lot of places that I still want to see. And I think the more you travel, the more you do want to travel.
Depends, I would say. I've definitely been over-traveled over this last year. I guess like once you are constantly on the go, you're really missing a routine. But I mean, there's so much to discover, and I feel like it's just insane. Like, for example, earlier this year, we were in Namibia and we visited like a local tribe that's living in the desert, like nothing around. They're hunting. They have no freaking idea how the rest of the world works. And this is so grounding and also really inspiring to see because it's just like such a different way of life, and just like the way, like where you're born at literally also decides so much about like your, for example, even having a passport, like Australian German passport. It's like such a valuable thing, and to be grateful for that. So a lot of people don't have this opportunity, and I mean, traveling can just like expand your horizons in so many ways, I guess.
I think travel's the most, one of the most beautiful blessings that I've received, the ability to travel. And so the whole reason that Will, Josh and I started Freedom Club was because we were traveling the world. We were enjoying life because we created an online business that gave us the freedom to do that. And we thought, why don't we try and share that freedom with everyone else? Because the cool thing is that if someone else wins, it doesn't mean I lose, or I win, someone else loses. It's not a zero-sum game. Like in investing, you buy something, someone else has to sell it, and you sell, someone else has to buy. So it's always balancing itself out. But in the game of achieving freedom and building an online business that gives you freedom, it's not like that. And so that's why certain business models I really like more than others, because of the level of freedom it gives you. For me, I tried building an agency, I built an agency, but it didn't give me all the freedom that I wanted. Financial, yes. I could go to dinner and not have to look at the bill. I could live in an apartment that I was comfortable with, have food on the table, like those kind of things. But I couldn't just say, you know what, I don't want to work this week. But you know what, I want to go to the Maldives, or I want to go to Singapore. I haven't been to the Maldives yet. But the idea that I could just pick up and go, there were certain businesses that gave me that freedom. And so I think it's so beautiful to be able to travel. It broadens your horizons. You meet such incredible people, and your life will accelerate in terms of growth so much faster because it is uncomfortable to go on a plane with your suitcase to a place you haven't been before with no idea if you're going to enjoy it, or no one that you know there. But I think it's one of the best self-growth exercises you can do. So if we can teach people how to have that, or have the opportunity to do that, then that's been a lot more fulfilling for me than just sitting at a computer building my own e-commerce stores.
Just getting out of your comfort zone, discovering kind of a new life also even. I feel like once you travel and go to a new place, it's like you start a little new life, life chapter at least. How do you get to know new people when you're traveling? Like I get that question a lot because I have a pretty big network, but mostly just like randomly happens through like social media, people follow you. How do you get to know all these inspiring people when you're traveling?
It starts mainly through connections. So there's a few key people that I've met along the way, and they are much better at socializing than I am. I like being by myself a lot. And so then when it's time to meet new people in new places, it doesn't really come naturally to me. And so my secret hack, which has served me so well, is surrounding yourself with extroverted people, because they will bring the people to you. They will make the connections. They'll be the life of the party. And then just by being around them, you're going to meet so many new people. And they're going to essentially vet the people they're bringing in because they want to make sure that they're good people and have a good time together. And so I've found that. There's been one guy that I met last year. His name's Josh, best mate and co-founder. And he is more extroverted than I am, and he's a lot more social than I am. And so just by being around him, I've been able to meet so many other incredible people, because people want to be around him. So then he introduces us, and then we all can hang out together. The next one has been social media. So when I see something that's cool online, or I see like a cool video, I'll just send them a DM and be like, hey, I really like the video that you made on this. No ask, no pitch, no like, let's catch up. Just starting the conversation with something like, I really like this. And yeah, so easy. And I think a lot of people go wrong, and then they ask something or they pitch something. It's like, if you just want to create more connections, the first thing you can probably do is just give people more compliments, because people love to hear those. And if they're genuine, then you're probably going to start some really good friendships from that as well. So those are my top two. Surround yourself with an extroverted person who can bring the people to you as an introvert. If you're extroverted, you're sweet. Just go out there, look on meetups for hobbies or things that you're interested in the cities you're traveling to. Look for, if you're a content creator, look for other creators that are traveling and in the same place as you. And then also, yeah, reach out to people on social media and give them compliments.
Literally, could not agree more. Like, social media is such a benefit, like for all of us, and like for networking, getting to know people. And how did we actually meet? I think Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Extroverts. There we go.
There we go. I think Carolina met Josh.
Carolina
and then we
met Josh.
because of that.
This is both of our extroverted
There we
friends.
go.
Oh my God, this is crazy. All right. I think this was an absolutely amazing talk. You have to send it to your call, I guess.
I do, yes. I
I
do.
don't want to stress you out. But thank you so much for your time. And I think we get some really valuable insights for the audience. Anything else you want to add?
I'm not trying to be motivational right now or give them anything final to part with, but I think the main thing is if you just want to see what I get up to, or maybe in any way you've been piqued your curiosity after watching this and listening to what I have to say. I make YouTube videos where I just document what I'm working on and be as open and transparent about that as I can be. And so if you want to see some of that without the pitch, without the sales inside of it, you can watch my YouTube videos. Otherwise, parting piece of wisdom, just keep at it. Pick one thing, go all in, don't stop until you get the life that you want.
That's the mindset we're ending this with. I love it. Okay, you should absolutely check out Austin's social channels, and as he just said, like his YouTube. Epic party content in there as well. I'm joking. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. I'm wishing you best of luck for your call, and I guess hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having me.